Okay, guys, let's go ahead and talk about Thomas Massie's new bill. What's up, Wolverines? Welcome back to the channel. My name is John Crump, and I happen to be a journalist that covers gun issues. If you can do me a big favor, like, comment, and subscribe, it would really help me out. We are still doing the fundraiser for Pack 997 of the Cub Scouts, so if you want to donate, you can donate down below. The link is in the description as always. Today, we are brought to you by our friends over at Ground News. As a journalist, I like to look at both sides of an issue instead of just the media-backed corporate interest of one source. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see their political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news that is being disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. I've been using Ground News to check my own bias, and now you can too. Go to check.ground.news/John Crump and you can get 15% off. I use the Vantage plan to get unlimited access to all the features. By going to Ground News, you not only help my channel, but you help Ground News make the media more transparent. H.R. 9534 was introduced by Republican Representative Thomas Massie out of Kentucky. The bill is also known as the National Constitutional Carry Act. What it would do is remove permitting requirements for carrying a firearm in the United States. Doesn't matter what state you're in, it will be constitutional carry. And real constitutional carry, where you can carry openly or concealed. The bill would remove the force of law from any permitting schemes that a state might issue. So let's say New York adds a permitting scheme or they keep the one that they have. The bill states that that law would not have the force of law behind it, meaning that you cannot be prosecuted for violating a state law that requires a permit because the federal law supersedes the state law, which is the way it works on the level of law. The federal law is always above state laws. The bill references three court cases, all that made it to the Supreme Court. The first one is from 2008, and that's Heller versus DC. Then it references McDonald versus the city of Chicago. And finally, it references New York State Pistol Rifle Association versus Bruin. It talks about what was said in these cases and the Supreme Court's opinion on the right to keep and bear arms. Thomas Massie says that he believes that Americans shouldn't have to ask for a permission slip to be able to exercise their rights, or as he puts it, beg the government. Now let's talk about the chances of this passing. Right now, there is no companion bill in the Senate, so that does not forebode well. I don't think that it would pass the Senate even if it got to the Senate, because right now Democrats control the Senate. The Republicans have the majority in the House, but in the Senate, they do not. So this bill coming up for a floor vote is highly unlikely unless the Republicans take back the Senate. But let's say that it does get a floor vote in the Senate and it does pass the House. It has to pass the House first before it gets to the Senate. I do not believe that it can pass. As I said, right now, Democrats have control. Even if Republicans take control of the Senate, it still is a long shot because the Senate has something called the filibuster, and to get anything passed, you need a supermajority, and they just don't have a supermajority. And even with the upcoming elections, they wouldn't have enough. But let's say that somehow it does pass the Senate. Biden is surely to veto this bill if it comes to his desk. If Harris gets elected, she will most likely veto the bill as well if it gets to her desk, but I do not believe that it would get to her desk. Trump would probably sign it, which would be a good thing for gun owners across the country, but I just don't think that it will get to his desk. So if Biden or Harris vetoes it, there would not be enough votes to override a veto. It's just not going to happen. The math is not there. So you might be asking me, why would he introduce this bill if it has zero chance of passing? Him introducing the bill is still significant. Massie knows how the game is played, and I'm going to let you know how the game is played. A bill hardly ever passes the first time it is introduced. What politicians do is they introduce a bill that they know will fail and try to get co sponsors on the bill. The point is to get more and more co sponsors every time the bill is introduced and build support that way. Eventually, maybe there will be a companion bill in the Senate, and the recognition of the bill will be known, and people will be more likely to vote for it. So you build over time, hoping that your side can get more and more power in Congress until it can pass. And hopefully, by that point, there will be a Republican president that will be willing to sign the bill. It is a long play, and it's just how the sausage is made. So, Massie introducing this bill is still a significant step forward, even though it doesn't really have a chance of passing this time around. Thomas Massie has shown that he is a true believer in the Second Amendment and a friend to gun owners. So we'll have to see what happens in the future, but this is a great first step towards the goal of actually being able to exercise our constitutionally protected right. And I say constitutionally protected on purpose. I didn't say constitutional right because it's not a constitutional right. It is a right from our creator of the universe, whatever you want to believe in. It is just protected and acknowledged by the Constitution from an overbearing government. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can donate to the Cub Scouts down below in the comments. And with that, we are out of here. Stay ever vigilant, stay ever free, keeping the fight. Wolverine's mother effers.